Aaliyah knew the scent of oil before she knew the scent of perfume. She grew up in her father's garage in rural Georgia, nestled between train tracks and the highway, where rusted pickup trucks sat like tired elders and engines lay open like anatomy lessons. Her father, Reggie Carter, was a legend in town, not just for his skill, but for his silence. When white mechanics wouldn't touch a job too complicated or too old, they whispered, "Take it to Reggie." By 17, Aaliyah had rebuilt a carburetor blindfolded. By 19, she was sketching alternate fuel injection systems. But by 22, with a mechanical engineering degree in her backpack and grease still under her nails, she was struggling to be seen. The garage she applied to in Atlanta was sleek, well-lit, and silent in the way wealth often was. Hamilton Performance was run by Bryce Hamilton III, a man with money, a legacy, and a jaw that clenched every time Aaliyah spoke too confidently. She got the job only because her last name carried weight. "You Reggie's girl?" he asked, sizing her up. "Well, let's see if he passed down more than attitude." Aaliyah smiled politely. She knew the look, the doubt, the condescension thinly veiled as banter. She'd been the only black girl in half her engineering classes. She'd heard the whispers, endured the stares. She was used to having to prove herself twice just to be treated once. The tension built slowly. Parts she ordered were mysteriously delayed. Clients she greeted were redirected to less experienced white co-workers. She wasn't allowed to work on high-performance engines, only the basic diagnostics. "I'm just saying, you're better with tires and filters," Bryce said once, clapping her shoulder like they were buddies. Each time she tried to speak up, the office got quieter. Every complaint vanished into HR voids. Her father told her, "Pick your battles, baby, but don't let them erase you." The breaking point came in the form of a 1967 Shelby GT 500, a rare collector's item. The engine had seized, the transmission was warped, and no one in the shop could get it to turn over. Bryce made a show of it in front of clients, letting everyone know even he was stumped. Then he turned to Aaliyah. "Hey, Carter," he said with a smirk. "Tell you what, why don't you take a crack at the impossible? You fix this. Maybe I'll promote you from tire duty." Laughter. Chuckles from corners. But Aaliyah wasn't laughing. He handed her a wrench like it was a joke. "Go on, prodigy. Show us what Daddy taught you." But she didn't reach for the wrench. Instead, she reached into her bag, pulled out her tablet, and opened her custom diagnostic app, one she'd built herself, incorporating sensor data from rebuilt vintage models. Within minutes, she identified the intake manifold flaw no one else saw. She explained how the timing chain misalignment was just a symptom, not the cause. She sketched a repair plan on the whiteboard, and when Bryce still sneered, she rolled up her sleeves, lifted the hood, and got to work. 2 days later, the Shelby roared to life, loud, defiant, whole. The sound turned every head in the shop. "She did it," whispered one mechanic. Bryce, red-faced, stormed out of the office. "Lucky guess," he muttered. "Could have been staged." But what he did next was worse. That evening, when Aaliyah returned from her lunch break, her locker was open, her tablet gone, her engine schematics, her app files, her blueprints missing. A note was taped inside. One word: corporate property. That was the spark. Aaliyah didn't shout. She didn't beg. She walked out. But not before emailing the full story, along with her app's original code, screenshots, security footage, and timestamps, to 3 places. 1, a civil rights lawyer. 2, a journalist at Atlanta Weekly. 3, and her online following of 40,000 young black engineers and coders. The fallout came fast. The Atlanta Weekly headline hit first: "Black engineer's invention stolen by performance shop. Company faces investigation." Social media exploded. Clients withdrew their contracts. Bryce issued a trembling denial on live TV. But the HR records, along with testimonies from other employees, showed a clear pattern of racial discrimination and IP theft. A federal suit followed. In court, Aaliyah stood poised and calm. She presented her degrees, her designs, her patents in progress. The judge listened as she detailed how her work had been erased, how her talent was buried under a system that assumed she belonged beneath the hood, but never behind the plan. Bryce stammered through his defense. The jury took only hours. Verdict: guilty of intellectual property theft and discriminatory retaliation. The damages awarded were historic. But Aaliyah didn't stop there. She took her settlement and launched She Builds Engines, a non-profit and startup accelerator for women and minorities in mechanical engineering.